sports. It's in the game.
We are here to do it all again. We've barely processed everything that happened last week after a crazy race, and now we're back to do it all again. It is the same circuit, the same shortest lap on the calendar, the same 2.6 miles, the same 10 corners, the same 3 DRS zones. The only change this time is to the name of the Grand Prix. Welcome to the 9th round of the 2021 season here at the Red Bull Ring once again for the running of the Austrian Grand Prix. We all know the circuit by now. We've become very accustomed to it after 4 races in 2 years, so to speak, and I think we're very used to this by now. It could be almost a testing venue the amount of time we've used it in the last couple of years. But we have a few changes, obviously, to the Grand Prix name and to the front row of the grid, with Lewis Hamilton getting yet another pole position and blocking out the front row with his teammate Valtteri Bottas. There's the view there of the Mercedes safety car. We've seen neither safety car in any of the rounds before this one. We get a change to that today. But Mylander's had a very easy season, so to speak. But what is very tense at the moment is the battle at the top, with the Mercedes drivers tied on points, and they locked out the front row, and they were separated by less than a tenth once again. Lewis Hamilton shares the front row with Valtteri Bottas. The Red Bull drivers had to settle for the second row, with Sergio Perez getting ahead of Max Verstappen. Lando Norris took 5th ahead of Charles Leclerc. In a below par session for Ferrari, strangely, Carlos Sainz will go from 7th, followed by Daniel Ricciardo. Here Gasly and Sebastian Vettel complete your top 10. On the 6th row once again it's Yuki Tsunoda and Lance Stroll. Following them, Kimi Raikkonen is once again lining up with Esteban Ocon. George Russell and Antonio Giovinazzi will go for 15th and 16th positions. The Haas boys lock out the penultimate row because Fernando Alonso had to take a penalty and drop down 10 places from 9th. Nicholas Latifi qualified behind them once again. So on the front row, and once again the Haas boys getting ahead of one of the Williams, but George Russell really putting in the standout performance of the day up there in P15. He most likely benefited, he was P16, but he benefited from the penalty for Alonso. And this is very interesting. Both Haas drivers are starting on the soft tyres for the first time this season. Aiden Jackson's end of race raw speed he enjoyed so much that he's actually starting on the soft tyres this time in the hopes of getting another lightning start and going into whatever position he finds. But the Haas really struggled in terms of overall pace last week, so we have no expectations that the same won't happen here. They've been very much off the points last time, but you never know. Austria can throw up a crazy race, as we witnessed just last week. Both Red Bull Honda drivers dropping out with engine failures. They'll be happy just to get out of here, considering it's the Red Bull Ring and Red Bull's home Grand Prix. It was nothing more than a disaster last weekend, with both drivers dropping out from leading positions. Max Verstappen was dominating, and Sergio Perez, my apologies, I'm going back to 2013 with that one, but Sergio Perez was running second. Red Bull were dominating, and engine failures hit both cars. And like we said, it's so strange to think that AlphaTauri haven't had any such problems at all as they come to line up on the grid. And well, all eyes will be on the battle at the front, with Mercedes tied on points. And will their equal status hurt them in the championship at some point? Well, it's not really done wonders so bad for them right now, but it could be getting a bit more tense between Hamilton and Bottas than it's been in the past. Here come the 5 red lights ahead of the drivers, the green followed the black. You know what happens when those lights go out. It is lights out. Away we go, go for the Austrian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton gets a Max Verstappen-esque start and leads from the front. Sergio Perez has already passed Bottas. And Bottas once again letting himself down at the start. Perez is right on the rear wing of Lewis Hamilton. There's going to be no DRS until the end of the second racing lap. Valtteri Bottas is looking to attack back Perez. Max Verstappen has Lando Norris for company. Charles Leclerc is there as well. It's a massive stop at turn 2. There's Aiden Jackson, I think. I'm assuming it's Aiden Jackson because there's always a half out the field. It does seem to be him. It certainly is. He's side by side with Esteban Ocon up into P13 already. Jackson has made 4 places in the space of a couple of corners in vintage Aiden style fashion as he takes Esteban Ocon for P14. And looking further down, Schumacher's in P17. He's already passed, he was ahead of the TV. It's Alonso that's lost out. Alonso is down at the back, and at the front, Lewis Hamilton leads from Perez. Bottas and Verstappen, it's pretty much the same as you were for the top 10. Only Yuki Tsunoda has made his way up into 9th place, and Daniel Ricciardo has dropped to 10th, and he was behind Sainz, so he's dropped down as well. There's Ricciardo going round the outside of Yuki Tsunoda going into turn 1, and the big winner was him, and the big loser was Ricciardo down there in P9. Mick Schumacher's into the pits. Mick Schumacher's pitting for Haas. What happened? Does he have front wing damage? That wouldn't surprise me. We've had a curse of front wings this season, and it is front wing damage. So hopefully we'll get a replay of that, but that's Mick Schumacher's race pretty ruined, and all hopes for Haas again on young man Aiden Jackson. That is pretty much race run for Mick Schumacher, and with the very much lack of pace in Haas, he'll probably go no further than that for the rest of the race. He'll be probably lapped pretty soon, such as the pace of the Haas. So let's see on the replay then. Lewis Hamilton, vintage Mercedes Lewis Hamilton start, absolutely no problem on the soft tyres. Great bite in the start line procedure. Takes the first corner cleanly. He leads into position 1. Let's have a look at Perez because he actually gained off the start. Bullet start from Perez. My apologies. He goes round the outside of Bottas and is right on the rear wing of Lewis Hamilton. And as we said last week, that Red Bull Honda has got no shortage of power. Here's the start from Jackson then. Well, can't wait to see this. And he blasts past Schumacher and the Alfa Romeo of Giovinazzi and the Williams of George Russell. And is side by side with Kimi Raikkonen there, and then blasts past him as well. So Jackson passed almost 4 other competitors in like a corner, and then he's side by side with Raikkonen. He dive bombs into turn 2 just like he did last week, and he pulls up alongside Ocon and then later gets ahead of him. So Aiden Jackson now is a bona fide great starter by the looks of it, although Ocon did give him a fight. Look at this race going down the straight. I think we missed this, and Jackson was able to hang it in. I think, yep, he hung it in. Jackson hangs it in, doesn't he? Makes up for the deficiencies of the car, that's for sure. Let's have a look at Mick Schumacher's start. Mick Schumacher's start wasn't too shabby either. He was actually alongside Giovinazzi at one point. So let's see what happened here. I'm assuming that Williams comes back. Oh, Mick just runs out of room. I think he ran out of room. The Williams was coming to the left, and it really left Schumacher with nowhere to go. And he gets the tap on the front wing. It looked relatively harmless, to be fair. And what are we having a replay of here? This is Nicholas Latifi. As we're watching the replays, and Latifi drops out with an engine failure for Williams in a rare event. Merc power unit has gone in the Williams, and that's Nicholas Latifi out of this race. Then the laps are so short, we're already on lap 4 then. And here is Perez. He's going to have DRS, and he's going to take to the inside of Lewis Hamilton. He's going to use the DRS to his advantage here. And once again, Red Bull really harrying Mercedes. And look at the power that Perez had coming out of that corner. That was a sensational exit by Sergio Perez. He leads the Austrian Grand Prix. Now Hamilton will come back at him round the outside with DRS in the third zone, or the second zone rather, and Perez hangs it in. Sergio Perez is definitely the man Red Bull needed. In the last 2 years they've had a driver merry-go-round. There's Valtteri Bottas going down the inside of Lewis Hamilton, and he continues to lose places. He's now down to third in the space of a couple of corners, and here we go then, and what's going to happen there? I can't really see it because of the camera, and I thought Max Verstappen was going to go for a bit of a lunge somewhere, but no. And again, Lewis Hamilton just kind of fades a bit, and let's see the gap as they cross the line to start lap 5. Bottas will have DRS and the trains have started to form with Perez. But regarding that, the Red Bull certainly has the power advantage over Mercedes this weekend. There's Kimi Raikkonen going down the inside of Aiden Jackson. Good luck with that. Because Aiden Jackson is going to defend, and he defended pretty well there. That's going to leave Raikkonen vulnerable to attack from Esteban Ocon and the Alpine, as he'll go round the outside. Jackson will have no threat because Raikkonen will be too focused on Ocon, and now they'll power out of the turn 2 and down the straight, and back to the front already. And Lewis Hamilton is already down to third after being passed by Bottas, and Bottas once again just has the upper hand over Hamilton, which has been the case for a few races now. Bottas had the upper hand over Hamilton. Hamilton had a really below par one last week, and he's not doing so well here. And Red Bull certainly have had Mercedes' number this weekend, but getting to the end of the race has been their problem. And there's Mick Schumacher. Well, he gained a place from Nicholas Latifi retiring, but that's probably the only one he'll gain this weekend because he's already 30 seconds behind Nicholas Latifi, so he'll be lapped pretty soon, you would have thought, because the laps are very short round here. We're looking at Kimi Raikkonen, who's still trying to pass Aiden Jackson, and Aiden Jackson is a very tough customer, as we know, and Raikkonen is now going to have DRS, but even with DRS, Raikkonen might not be able to pass Jackson if Jackson defends as well as we know he can, and he didn't even try the move there. Aiden Jackson was too far ahead. There was Giovinazzi going down the inside of George Russell, who's fallen away a bit, to be fair. He's already lost out to... Hang on. I'm having a look at it. Fernando Alonso is 18th. Okay. I was just kind of wondering where Alonso was because he just kind of vanished from my eyesight for a second. But we found him. He's P18. He's behind George Russell. Ocon and Alpine really haven't been at the races of this one. Alonso had to take a grid penalty for a component change, and Ocon could only manage P14, which is all he's managed all weekend, to be fair. He was battling Aiden Jackson for almost the entirety last time. Was that Williams? That was actually George Russell. My apologies, I'm getting it all mixed up. It was only a week ago, and we're already forgetting everything. But in any case, here we go on to the start of lap 7 then. Kimi Raikkonen still trying to pass Aiden Jackson the HAAS. I mean, in terms of the power unit, they should be drawing even because both HAAS and Alfa Romeo do have the B-Spec Ferrari power unit in the back of their cars. As Raikkonen oh my, whoa, no, Raikkonen spun it. He spun it, he was taken to the inside of Jackson, and he veered the other way. And that's very similar to what happened to Antonio Giovinazzi at Baku when he veered into the wall. It's a very similar situation there with Kimi Raikkonen. Fortunately, he's able to pick it up and keep going again. Let's have a look at this on replay. Once he takes it inside, the car just gives out. The car just gives out, much like Giovinazzi's did. Strange, because I would understand with Giovinazzi because he hit the curb. Raikkonen didn't hit anything here. Let's have a look at this. I think he hits a bump in the road. Yep. I think there's a bump there, and Raikkonen's basically tried to correct something and just veered off the track. We've seen that happen in the MotoGP in very much scarier circumstances. We had a crash there in the MotoGP race that Valentino Rossi narrowly avoided. Meanwhile, while that was going on, Bottas passed Sergio Perez for the lead. So, or tried. Perez is hanging in on the inside with DRS there, but I think Bottas had DRS moves behind him with detection, and that's what helped Bottas into the lead. So, Valtteri Bottas leads for Mercedes then through Sergio Perez, and that's not what Red Bull needed. And Mercedes must be very surprised with the form that Valtteri Bottas has showed so far this season, because it's been very unseen from Bottas in recent years. Mind you, hold the phone a bit, because I think Perez was taking to the inside of Bottas at turn 2, and he's going to fight with him there. He's going to lose out a little bit, but he might get a second hope with DRS, because I think he was behind Bottas in the detection zone, and he did. And will Bottas take to the Perez rather take to the inside? He will. It's going to be wheel to wheel. Oh, they almost touch, I think. They almost touch there, but Perez gets ahead. Perez gets ahead there of Bottas and Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen with a lunge down the inside of Lewis Hamilton. There's no contact there. And did he get him? Yes, he did. Max Verstappen took third place. Sensational move by Max Verstappen. Look at this. The hole from Bottas down to Sainz, I think. Is separated by less than a second. Max is taking to the outside to pass Bottas. Bottas is into the pit. Oh my goodness! There's contact there. Was that Lewis Hamilton into his teammate? I think it might have been. Bottas is coming to the pit. Lewis has no front wing. Hamilton has no front wing. He hit Bottas. And for the first time this season, the Mercedes have come together in a very, very strange incident, to be fair, which all started with Max Verstappen passing Bottas around the outside. Hopefully we'll get a replay in a second. We've got Lando Norris battling Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, and Hamilton is going to be nothing more but a mobile chicane at the moment because he's going to have no downforce. And here is a replay then. So this all started from Max Verstappen pulling this sensational move on Lewis Hamilton. So much better grip on the inside found there by Max Verstappen. Great move. And then he was lining up Bottas as well. Max Verstappen's tyres really just lit up well at this part of the circuit here. He takes to the outside. Bottas looks to he's going into the pits. And I think he veered into Hamilton. I think he did. What happened there? Let's have a look. I think we've got team radio coming from Hamilton. And that's a strange collision. That's a very strange collision.
Well, that's just man. Sorry about that. Come on, guys. Get on it for the rest of the race, alright?
Well, Hamilton takes his part of the blame in that collision. I personally think that's 50-50. I'm not sure what Bottas was doing, coming back to the racing line, heading to the pits, and there's more carnage in the pit lane because Norris and the AlphaTauri there of Tsunoda, I think it is, were having to stay behind Hamilton as he had no front wing. So that's Lewis's race ruined. To me, I'm not sure what happened there. It's almost like Bottas was coming out of the pit entry. Lewis was then turning right and they hit each other. I think they hit each other. I don't think anyone's to really, any one driver is to blame there. I think they're both to blame. I think it was just a mix-up, honestly. I think it was just a mix-up there. Was Bottas looked to me like he was planning to go into the pit lane. Lewis then turned right as Bottas then went left, and they ran into each other. I think that's what it looked from that angle anyway. So that has really changed the complexion of this race now, because it's a Red Bull 1-2. Now, we don't want to jinx it, so I'm not going to say anything. But yeah, it's a Red Bull 1-2 with Ferrari 3-4. Daniel Ricciardo is now 5th. Yuki Tsunoda is now 6th. He started 11th. Sebastian Vettel is 7th. Lance Stroll is 9th. He started 12th. Or 8th rather. Jackson's 9th. He started 18th. And Esteban Ocon's 10th. He started 14th. So both Mercedes coming together has certainly hurt a couple of drivers a few places there. And meanwhile, at the front, Sergio Perez is leading by over a second ahead of Max Verstappen as Aiden Jackson comes into the pits, probably to change tyres. Of course, it's a very short lap here, and as we said last week, it's a very short lap with not really many taxi corners, so tyre wear cannot really be much of an issue here. But it's funny that Jackson's pitting on lap 11 into lap 12. Let's see when Verstappen and Perez pit here. And neither of them are pitting. So neither of them are pitting. And Max will have somewhat worse tyres, having to follow two Mercedes. But he's cleared them now. And it's a comfortable lead that Red Bull have. 3 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen is. Add that to the extra second that Perez has over Verstappen. And it's a 4-second lead over the rest of the field. As Red Bull really will be hoping they benefit from Mercedes calamities in the pit lane or coming up to the pit lane in the final corners. Bottas has made his way past Giovinazzi into 9th place. Hamilton is down in 15th position. So, I mean, Hamilton accepted his part of the blame in the whole incident there. But I don't really think it was only one driver's fault. George Russell is running in the points, lads. But, unfortunately, I think we're about to have curse in the comment now. Wait a minute. George Russell going down the outside of Antonio Giovinazzi into the DRS zone. Can he hold it, please, George? Please do. No, he doesn't. Oh, that's unfortunate. And now he's going to get hounded by Valtteri Bottas in a Mercedes. It's going to be a game, set and match, sadly, for George Russell. Still, well, not waiting for his first F1 points. He scored them in Sakir last year, of course. But he's still waiting for his first points with Williams. And Williams just don't really have the pace this season, unfortunately, for the points. Well, you'd say that about HAAS, but I think Jackson got his points on France on pure will and skill defensively. As Sergio Perez is keeping Max honest. I think Max is keeping him honest, to be fair. He's not really running away. I wonder if Red Bull will perform a swap or maybe pull Perez in for a kind of tactical pit stop. If Perez can get ahead of both Mercedes, that would be very beneficial for Red Bull. They've fallen so far behind in the Constructors' battle to the point where even Ferrari are ahead of them now, I believe. But in any case, we go on, and George Russell's back into 10th. He's past Giovinazzi. So, oh wow, okay. So George has passed Antonio Giovinazzi. There was a pitted then. I'm not sure who it was. I think it was Jackson, wasn't it? I think it was Jackson's for the points. He's now down 17th. The gap between Perez and Verstappen has come down a bit. So Verstappen is starting to make some inroads. He has made 3 attempts, I think, on Bottas in the last Perez in the last lap. So Max is now getting the hammer down. The Red Bulls have gone quite far, to be fair. I'm hearing that the Jackson fitted the soft tyres again, so that's why he's pitted early. Because he wanted to get another set of softs on. But the Red Bulls are really making the softs last really well at the moment, with Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen making it to lap 15. And the longer they can do this and pull out ahead of Perez and Hamilton, Bottas. I'm getting Perez and Bottas confused a lot today for some reason. But Bottas, if they can get ahead of Bottas and Hamilton, keep ahead of them at the pit stop phase, they'll be really prime position to win this race. With Max Verstappen dropping almost 2 seconds there. No, 1.2 is a bit of a problem with the interval, I think. But Verstappen's pitting. That's why there was a loss of time there. So Verstappen pits first. So normally that's the lead driver's prerogative to get the stop first, but they want to stop Max first. It'll probably put him in clean air, to be fair, though. He's on the medium tyres. So he's probably going to... Would he make it to the end of the race? He probably would make it to the end of the race on those, Max Verstappen. So finally, Red Bull may have made a good call for Max Verstappen in the pit stops. Sebastian Vettel is running third, but he obviously still has to pit again, unfortunately. He's really been very quiet. It's been a very quiet first year for Aston Martin, all things considered. But I think it was always going to be that, because these regulation changes that did come into effect this year hit them the hardest. And it'll be interesting to see what they do in 2022 as Perez comes into the pit. So Perez is pitting the lap after Max Verstappen. Max has a 2-second gap to Sebastian Vettel. That's plenty of time to keep in clean air. So if Vettel pits now, that'll leave Max in good position here. Sainz is also pitting. And Vettel's pitting. So, and Perez is just leaving the pit box. Max is going to the final corner. He's coming down the straight now. I think Max Verstappen has undercut Sergio Perez. Yes. Max Verstappen takes the lead then of the Austrian Grand Prix by quite some margin, to be fair. Max Verstappen had a storming outlap and he has gained a second, the second that he lost to Perez in the early part of it. He has just wiped that advantage and claimed it for himself. And Valtteri Bottas is up into third place. I'm surprised he didn't get any rear wing damage from the collision with Hamilton. It really should have taken them both out of the race, to be honest. It looked like a very hard hit that the Mercedes suffered, but they lived to fight another day. And here is Jackson passing, or Jackson fighting with Esteban Ocon rather. And now we have Max Verstappen with a 1.1 second lead. Perez has taken a bit out of him, to be fair. I'm not sure how that has come to be, but we'll keep an eye on it. And look at this. Charles Leclerc is all over Valtteri Bottas. So that's interesting. Can we get a move here from another Ferrari passing another Mercedes. We've been very used to this in the most recent part of the season. DRS down the straight. Bottas is going nothing to fight with him. Looks like Bottas might have it covered. Is Charles going to take to the inside? He is. Dive bomb by Charles Leclerc. And he's going to make it steer. Bottas going to hang around round turn 2. Now we're going to be into turn 4, I think. And DRS goes to no one, apparently. That's bizarre. No one claims DRS because no one was using it down the straight. So I don't know what... That's strange. But anyway, Charles Leclerc has made it stick. Charles Leclerc now into P3. And this is just working out swimmingly for Red Bull now. They can cruise to the finish, more or less. Because I think Verstappen's tyres will make it. And I'm pretty sure Perez's will too. So this is all... Oh no! That's not what I think it is. Was that smoke coming out of Perez? It was. Again. Again with Red Bull. Oh no. This is not right. This is unbelievable. Another engine failure for Sergio Perez. That's 3 in 2 races. And what becomes of Max Verstappen now? Will he suffer the same fate? My goodness, I hope not. Oh my goodness me. Red Bull, they will be glad to get out of this venue. It's their home race, but it's been cursed from the word go, more or less, as Hamilton tries to make his way through the field. He's passed Gasly recently, and now he's going to fight with Daniel Ricciardo. And Bottas has really got through most of that calamity in the pit lane unscathed by the looks of it. And Hamilton's having to do all the work with passing cars. Although this is Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, he can obviously do it no problems whatsoever. But Red Bull, what have they got to do to even finish a Grand Prix? It's been just the most unbelievable of circumstances. Oh my. And once again, we just have to ask the question, what is going wrong reliability wise for Red Bull? And I think the crowd is literally going to have everything crossed. The Max Legion are going to be biting nails and all sorts, crossing their toes, their fingers, everything, to hope that Max Verstappen can just make it to the end of this race. We don't want to jinx him, but oh my, what is going wrong at Red Bull? Why is that that power unit just not agreeing with the Red Bull car at the moment? Because it's working fine for the AlphaTauris. You know, it's working fine for the AlphaTauris. They're getting points almost every week. Gasly's in 8th, Tsunoda's in 9th. And they're getting to the end of the races, but Red Bull's cars are not. And it's pretty much the same car, more or less, that AlphaTauri and Red Bull have. It's not the exact car, because that's obviously against the rules, as Aston Martin found last season. But it is pretty much from the same umbrella, as it were. And they're finishing races, and Red Bull are struggling with reliability at the moment. But Max Verstappen, for the moment, is leading this Grand Prix. Nothing is assured, though, in this sport this season. And it seemed to have settled down a bit now. We've got Lando Norris in 4th, so he's following on from his great win that he earned last week. So McLaren's pace is legit, no matter what Red Bull, no matter the circumstances, rather, of last week. Norris did earn that win on merit, to be fair, because the McLaren is definitely come on song since the shaky start. Max Verstappen still in the Grand Prix. Now he's ahead of 6 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc, who's passed Bottas. He was already ahead of Bottas, wasn't he? I think so. Well, in any case, Leclerc is now a second clear of Bottas as well. So maybe there is some lasting damage to that Mercedes with Bottas following the collision. But it's been pretty smooth sailing for Max Verstappen so far. And that's Charles Leclerc putting a lap on Aiden Jackson. So Jackson's been lapped already. Is that Jackson or Schumacher? I couldn't tell which one there for a moment. I mean, Jackson's showing us P13, so was Schumacher he lapped, because here is Jackson now. Still battling with Esteban Ocon. Aiden Jackson always seems to find cars around him, which is good for him because it gives him a chance to showcase his skill set. And my goodness, this kid has the skill set. As Ocon tried to look around the outside there, Jackson shut him the door. Yuki Tsunoda's passed Pierre Gasly. So, even though Yuki Tsunoda will probably get the Rookie of the Year honour in terms of scoring the most points, I think Jackson will have it just on his performances. If there was 2 Rookie of the Years, Rookies of the Year, then it would go Tsunoda and Jackson, and the 2 awards would go to them. Because, my goodness, Jackson is increasing his stock every passing race. And we have no confirmation of where Jackson will be next season. There's been no discussions between Jackson and anybody, really. Rumours that he may take the Williams seat, although Alex Albon is in contention for that. And that's really the only thing we've heard, because for all intents and purposes we believe that Nikita Mazepin will take the 2nd seat back at HAAS for 2022, unless a twist happens. As long as Mazepin doesn't really do anything untoward, he should get the seat back next year. So where does that leave this young man? A young man that has just impressed so many. 9 races, and he's been probably the most surprising package of the season. No one really expected much of Jackson in a car that has no development for it, but Jackson has pushed the boundaries of what can be achieved in a car with no development. Very Michael Schumacher-esque and all that. As Bottas pits and he has to wait for Lando Norris to pass him, and that might hold him up a bit. Lewis Hamilton's now ended up ahead of him. So Bottas, what tyres did he put on at the first stop? Because I don't think Verstappen plans on stopping again. So I'm not really sure what's going to be going on there. Maybe Bottas has some damage that needed to be checked. Well, he's on a set of mediums anyway. George Russell is so close to points he can taste them, but unfortunately he's got Lando Norris breathing down his neck, and that's probably not, with all respect to Russell, it's probably not going to be that hard of a pass for McLaren. We'll have to see. Daniel Ricciardo definitely having a good comeback race here. He suffered a 5-second penalty last week for failing to slow under yellow flags, and Lando Norris going for the Max Verstappen-esque manoeuvre on George Russell, and it paid off. And Lando is now into P11, chasing Esteban Ocon for the last point. And we have fastest lap by Valtteri Bottas at 1 minute 6.8. That's just a tenth slower than the fastest lap Bottas put last week that won him the extra point. So Bottas is racking up all the extra points too for Mercedes, which they all desperately need right now because they're very out of position after the calamities at the first stops. As Ocon comes out of the pits, there's Jackson at the first corner, and Ocon is going to end up behind him. And you must feel that the Alpines are going to be pretty sick of seeing Aiden Jackson, because they've spent a lot of time with him this season. And Ocon goes down the inside, and he's going to try the dive bomb and surprise Jackson. You'll have to get up earlier than that, Esteban. You're not going to catch Jackson out like that. Wonderful attempt from Ocon, to be fair, but Jackson has the defense of a lion, to be sure. And that was really, he had to do that. Esteban Ocon try and catch Jackson by surprise. Nothing doing. Aiden Jackson says, no, you're not doing that to me, sunshine. You're going to pass me the old-fashioned way. And this is over technically last place, because Mick Schumacher is probably a lap down and out of position in P19 or P18, and Perez and Latifi are your two retirements. And Schumacher's just having a lonely one at the back. So he is technically in last place. So Ocon and Jackson are fighting for the scraps, more or less. This man, Max Verstappen, dare we say it, is absolutely dominating out front. 7 seconds ahead of Leclerc, who's 3 seconds ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. So once again, both Ferraris absolutely on it at the moment, as Max Verstappen comes up to a back marker. I think it's a Williams, or is it Schumacher? Can't really tell from here. And Schumacher, Max is just going to close right up on this car. It's a Williams. It's going to be George Russell then, because Latifi's out of this race. And George is not exactly moving aside, although to be fair, he's on the soft tyres, and he does. So Max Verstappen clears George Russell with relative ease, doesn't lose too much time there, still 7.8 seconds, and rising behind Charles Leclerc, as Max Verstappen has it all under control at the front with 9 laps to go. We don't want to jinx him, we really don't, because Red Bull have had a real problem getting to the end of races. And here's a Valtteri Bottas, so Mercedes running 8th and 9th at the moment, and it has been a very, very long time since we saw Mercedes down in the low end points here. And this is the sort of race Ferrari, Red Bull and maybe McLaren have to take advantage of. The problem McLaren have is that Lando Norris is only up in 10th, and the problem Red Bull have is they don't have Sergio Perez, and they were running 1-2. So Ferrari will probably be the bigger winners here. Of course, Bottas could probably still pass the 2 Aston Martins and Yuki Tsunoda ahead. It'd be a great effort if he could do that, and he has the car to do it. He's on the hard tyres, medium tyres rather. I think Vettel, Stroll's on the medium tyres as well. So the points are there for the taking for Valtteri Bottas, but there will be discussions over that collision between the 2 Mercedes entering the pit lane. Well, Bottas was entering the pit lane for sure. I'm not sure what Hamilton was doing. It's not like Max was holding them up or put them out of position either. I don't think Max had anything to do with it. They just kind of turned into each other. So there definitely is both sides of blame on it, to be fair. And Bottas is now right on the rear wing of Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin. And this will be a personal win for Aston Martin, being ahead of Mercedes. Considering they have a Merc power unit. 2022 is expected to be Aston Martin making huge strides with the whole regulations being reset, as it were. Valtteri Bottas trying to go around the outside of Lance Stroll, nothing doing there. But of course Lance Stroll had DRS off his teammate. Yuki Tsunoda running a great P5 by the way. I wonder if he has to stop again. Hamilton running in P9. I haven't seen that for quite some time. It's almost unprecedented at this point. Well, the gap continues to increase between Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. Max is in a world of his own, and there is Giovinazzi dropping behind Raikkonen, I think. Raikkonen and Giovinazzi having a scrap ahead of Jackson and Ocon. Ocon's still not past Jackson. Another sensational race by the boy. Bottas has passed Lance Stroll. So that's 1. Jackson's not going to Bottas is not going to catch Ricciardo, because after Tsunoda there's a gap of 10 seconds and only 6 laps to go. The question now is, what can Hamilton do? He's 2 seconds behind Stroll. And we're just watching Bottas here. DRS, will he try and move on Vettel? No. Vettel does have DRS from Tsunoda. He didn't really make any inroads on Tsunoda, so Tsunoda's did a great job up there in P5. I'm trying to find where Hamilton is. I think he was there. He can do it, Lewis Hamilton. He can catch him past Vettel. train forming here. And now there's DRS for Bottas. Excuse me, Bottas. Doesn't pass Vettel. Vettel, a 4-time world champion, of course. He's not going to be the easiest man to pass. Both cars have DRS. Is Bottas going to take to the inside? No, he didn't. Well, Tsunoda's forming a train. And it's hurting Bottas a bit. There's Lewis Hamilton. He's not had a good day, to be fair. Down in P9. It's all about damage limitation for Mercedes, but they've built such a lead in the first 5 races in which they absolutely dominated. But if this downward spiral kind of continues, then who knows where anything will end up. There's Yuki Tsunoda taking the 22 from Jenson Button, by the way. Well, he didn't take it from him. Just left vacated after Button retired. And he's doing a really good job, to be fair. And was that Bottas going down the inside of Vettel? Yes, it was. And is Vettel? Vettel's going to try and hang it. Both cars are going to have DRS. It's going to be a drag race down to turn 3. And Bottas is the inside line. The outside's been the best force of trying to mount a second counter attack. And Vettel is there. And Hamilton's passed Stroll. And they're going side by side to someone. Bottas was everywhere. And somehow he made the move stick. So this is good from Bottas because he's put the Aston Martins into the clutches of his teammate. Now, I don't think there's going to be team orders at Mercedes. I think they will run equal status because they are on the same amount of points. And Hamilton goes down the inside. It's an easy move on Sebastian Vettel. What was that about? That was an easy move for Lewis Hamilton. That was almost too easy. And the two former rivals. Bottas going around the outside of Yuki Tsunoda. Every move that Hamilton makes, Bottas one-ups it. And I think Hamilton will make the same move on Tsunoda here. Veers to the other side, Lewis Hamilton. Next to the outside, there has been better grip out there. And again, another easy move by the Mercedes duo. But that's as far as they're going to go because there's only 3 laps left. And not enough time to catch Daniel Ricciardo, who is 13 seconds up the road from Valtteri Bottas. So the order looks set. Max Verstappen absolutely running away with it at the front. And fingers crossed, Max can make it. It would only be his first win of the season. The guy should have at least 2 or 3 by now. But Formula 1 is as much about luck as it is skill. That's the unpredictability beauty of this sport. I would have thought Lewis Hamilton would really not be winning the previous few races. We've had 2 new race winners this year in Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris, matching the 2 that we had last year with Pierre Gasly and Sergio Perez. Lando Norris has now passed Lance Stroll as well, so the Aston Martins are falling back a lot here. And Daniel Ricciardo running in 4th. Norris needs to make up some more. Hamilton, Vettel's passed Tsunoda somehow, so Tsunoda might be running a bit of an issue because he's dropping a bit further back than you'd expect him to, as Esteban Ocon does get out of the way of Max Verstappen. What will Jackson do? You can imagine Jackson will just let him on by. And ooh! Well, he flew past Jackson, but it looked like there would have been an airplane collision there. I don't think Jackson was holding him up. I think he was trying to get out of the way. And of course, he's probably got his sights on Ocon. But it was fair enough. It just looked a bit scary for a moment there. Lando Norris is ducking and diving underneath Sebastian Vettel, going around the outside of turn 1. Oh my goodness me, they came very close there. They came very close. Vettel gets away out of turn 1. They're going to have DRS down the straight. It's going to be a drag race again. Going into turn 3. Lando Norris is slightly ahead going into the corner. And it's round the outside, which has been the best course of through turn 2. But Vettel makes his car as wide as he can. And I think he's held him off just about. Oh my goodness, there's action all over at the moment. In his final laps of the race, Max Verstappen is starting the final lap. He's clear of Carlos Sainz. He's an absolute field day today. Max Verstappen has had a vintage race. But who's going to finish on top between the two Mercedes? That's the question. If things stayed as they are, it would be a 3-point lead that Bottas would hold going into the British Grand Prix. And I think rain has started to fall, but it's going to be inconsequential. And I don't want to say anything until we get to the last corner, because this car has had difficulty finishing races. As far as the time is concerned, he's won the race already. And Max Verstappen into the final corner finally takes his first win of 2021. Max Verstappen wins the Austrian Grand Prix.
Well done, Max. You've won the Austrian Grand Prix. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Spot on, Max. Spot on, mate. Mode 1. That was textbook.
Yes! Oh, this feels good. Oh, yes!
Oh, the relief in the voice of Max Verstappen. He takes the win. Valtteri Bottas takes the fastest lap again. So, it actually would be a 3-point lead, yes. Because it would be 2 for the moment. But because Bottas got the fastest lap, it's a 3-point lead. Bottas will have at the top of the table now. Max Verstappen finally wins for the 9th time of asking. And Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo in a superb 4th place. The Mercedes split the McLarens with Lando Norris passing Yuki Tsunoda towards the end. Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll get the final points playing positions. A really lonely race for the likes of Aiden Jackson and Mick Schumacher. But no points for Sergio Perez. There's still work to be done at the Honda engines. So Valtteri Bottas 3-point lead then over Lewis Hamilton as we approach the halfway stage of the season after the British Grand Prix. We'll be in the second half, and Max Verstappen and Red Bull are going to need a monster second half to claw back their gap at the moment, but it ain't over until the final checkered flag is what I always say. And it is pretty much as you were. Lance Stroll moves ahead of someone there. Mercedes have I think that's a 74 point, no, it might be 34 over Ferrari actually, and Red Bull needed that win, but they needed Perez to score, but unfortunately had another engine failure as Red Bull still have their problems. But finally, Max Verstappen is a race winner in 2021. It's been far too long. Hopefully this is the start of a second half that'll better favour him, but there's only one way to find out. We'll see him at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix.